What I can do with storage spaces is go buy a bunch of physical disks. It does not matter what type of disk. Like the manufacturer of the disk does not matter. If it's a solid state drive or a mechanical drive, that does not matter. The size of the drive does not matter. So any type of drive you have, you could take those drives and you just connect them to your server. So I have all these physical disks. From the physical disk, I can create a storage pool and I can add disks to this storage pool. Now, do keep in mind, you can never add the operating system disk to a storage pool. So this entire concept is just for data. But here, I have disk 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's say each one of these disks is 1 terabyte for each disk. I can add all 4 of these disks to the storage pool. When I do that, this storage pool is now 4 terabytes in size. So basically you have one big block of space. Now you can configure this however you want. You create a virtual disk and I can size my virtual disk whatever size I want. It could be 4 terabytes or it could be something less than 4 terabytes. Then you create disk drives under that. So ultimately, I could have a drive here that is the E drive that is, I'll say 1.5 terabytes. I could have an F drive that is 200 gigs. Now, we have 4 terabytes, so I have a lot of unused space, but you could come back at any time and either extend these drives you already have, or you create another drive. But it's very similar to the concept of RAID. Like we talked about the mirroring, the RAID 5, like the Strike with parity. The end result is sort of similar. It's just a completely different technology. You just add a bunch of disks of any type, and these disks, a term you will often hear associated with them is JBOD. JBOD actually stands for just a bunch of disks, meaning they need to have nothing in common. You just connect them to your server, add them to a pool, then you can create disks and assign drive letters to your disks, and you can size it however you want. At any point, you can come back and add another physical disk, increase the size of your storage pool. So pretty straightforward to actually manage. You just need 1 or more physical disks. Now, the benefit is when you have more than 1 physical disks, but it will let you create this with 1 disk. The assumption would be you then add other disks to it. All those get saved to your storage pool, as we said, and virtual disks are created with disks from that storage pool. So that's our virtual disk there. It's going to be like a virtual hard drive. And then we just create disk drives. That's it. This is what we just described in our picture here. So very straightforward process. We will look at this in the interface and we'll actually create a storage space. We'll define the pool, the virtual disks, because it's pretty quick and easy to actually do. Now, some usage scenarios. If you just want an easy to manage, highly scalable, reliable solution that is not incredibly expensive, storage spaces would be a great option. You can use inexpensive storage with or without external storage, meaning these drives can be connected like internal to your server, or they can be external connected to your server. It supports both. And this is what we really define. You combine multiple physical drives into a storage pool that you can then manage as a single entity. Different types of storage. Now, different types of storage primarily would be 2 classifications. We have solid state drives, or SSD. They have no mechanical parts, like they don't spin around in circles, so they're not measured in RPMs. The other type will be measured in RPMs. They just categorize those as hard disk drives, which are commonly like 7,200 RPM. Some are like 10,000, 13,000 RPM, but 7,200 is pretty common RPM for those types of disks. But these we would just describe as mechanical disks. Never would they be able to read and write as fast as solid state. But you could have a mix of both. in your storage pool. If you do that, one of the things that's awesome, this will automatically recognize the different types of storage. So it knows SSD is fast. Relatively speaking, it knows an HDD is slow compared to a solid state drive. So what we can have this automatically do, in your storage pool, data that you access most often will be saved to your solid state drive. Data you access less often will be saved to your hard disk drive. Now, I don't manage that. That is managed from the storage pool software itself. It optimizes that over time where the data actually resides within the storage pool, so you truly get the best of both worlds, and you don't have to actually spend money to buy all solid state drives to still have optimal performance. Pretty user friendly. As we said earlier, add drives whenever you need to increase the size of your storage pool. Now, we can provision storage as required from an existing storage pool, assuming we have free space. Because when you create the storage pool, we then create our virtual disks and drives from that storage pool, and we size them based on whatever our needs actually are. So if you have unused space, at any point you can come back and extend drives you already have or create new drives. The fault tolerance side of this, I can also add drives that are hot spares, meaning in your storage pool, you could have these 3 drives, and this 4th one could be, I'll say HS for hot spare. So if one of these drives were to fail, we automatically can have data written to this drive and we remain online. It's already connected up to your server, just waiting to step in and fulfill that responsibility. So it does have several fault tolerance components natively built into it.